a place where people can feel that sense of authenticity and healing and belonging and love and acceptance, and know that they don't have to give up God or any kind of spirituality or spiritual community even.
You're listening to the Spiritual Shitshow podcast with Suzanne Sole, episode 78. Hey, you perfect rays of light and being, and welcome to the Spiritual Shitshow podcast, where we get into the wild ride the healing and spiritual awakening journey can be. I'm your host, Suzanne Sole, comedian, lifelong spiritual student, and I'm sharing some of the tips and tricks I've learned along my journey that have helped me, and that I hope help you too. It's part 3 of my incredible, engaging, and very special 3-part series with Rainbow Weldon, the fabulous queer, new thought minister, consciousness coach, meditation facilitator, and spiritual director and founder of the Queer Spirit Collective, an online community centered around authenticity, connection, and queer joy. Because, I mean, what more could you want? In part 3, we talk about identity, authenticity, and Rainbow's own journey to her identity as queer. She talks about her desire to create a celebration of spirituality and queer community, and what would later become the now Queer Spirit Collective, the online community she created since this interview, which was recorded in late 2025. How's that manifestation for you, huh? I mean, she's got it. Let's get into this amazingness.
And so Sweets was able to get this person, off the hook or out of jail and off the record, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds
and really
like Sweets had quite the charm.
Yeah, I know. I was like an advocate and a charmer in all the ways.
She transcended all the demographics.
Yeah.
It's like people just liked her. And
exactly.
They got past that she was, dressed or that she was in drag or whatever. And I think that's such an important part of it, is like when we get into the humanity of it, when we get into the community and the people and the person, that's
not a persona, but it's a human being.
Not objectifying and looking at, this group of people. It's like, if that person was in, like, you worked with them and they were a really nice person, you would have a different opinion because you knew them and you knew them as a human being. So I love that. It's so, so important.
Yeah.
So Sweets was just tearing it up. She was like, handling it.
That moment, that was the last time that anyone's been arrested in a gay bar in Lexington, Kentucky, just for being gay.
Wow. Yes.
There's been other arrests, but but that is like a bar was raided. Maybe a few other things happened in there, but
that's right. That's everybody. Nobody can do that part. That's for all of us. But may I ask you, did you always know that you identify as queer?
I identify as queer, yes. And I like that term because it's more of an umbrella term. And I've always been like, okay, like when I realized, so I didn't really realize that I was attracted to women until I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
I always knew, that's when I realized for myself. I always knew and felt different, but it felt more different just because of my perspective on the life in my spiritual world, that kind of made me feel different. But I also never really dated. Another funny family story was I go on my first date in high school. I'm 14. And then afterwards, and we went to a putt-putt golf place or whatever. First of all, I made him call his parents to pick us up early. Because
you're like, I want to get out of here.
All he wanted to do was try to make out under every little putt-putt place. And I'm just no. And so then there's I got together with my family. We used to get together over my grandmother's house all the time. And so my cousin or something, he's 10 years older than me, they were asking well, so we heard you had your date. How, or what? And I was like, oh no, I was like, he's just not deep enough. And
I
then
love it.
he laughed. He was like, "Oh, good luck." You're like,
You're going in a shallow pool for
Yeah.
tea. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Kidding, guys.
So, but to think that, yes, in high school, if you're looking for deep, especially, maybe not exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just, I already, it sounds like you didn't know what you wanted, but you knew what you didn't want.
Exactly.
That was where you started.
That's where I started.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And then, and I did date some guys in college and different things. But they were also like artists, musicians, theater people,
Right.
and I think I've also, when I heard a few years ago, maybe the idea of demisexual, I resonated with that as well. And that was a new one for me, which is like, you really have to feel a connection with the person.
100%.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
just like you aren't just sexually attracted to
Right.
people. It's
Right.
like that the sexual attraction almost comes after there is like some other kind of emotional connection, or something else. So I relate to that as well. So then, yeah, when I first was with a woman in my early 20s in Chicago, then I still never really said, like, came out like I'm a lesbian. It was like, I fell in love with this woman,
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, maybe I'm a pansexual. Like I fall in love with the person, not the gender.
Right.
And I kind of related to that as well too. And then, so I've had 2 wives. Part of the 2 Wives Club. So then that
Yes.
first relationship ended, and then I was with my next partner for all these many years that
Yes.
just ended. So I never really dated that much. And just, had those 2 long-term, so very
Wow.
U-Haul moments. But so then, just it was kind of assumed that I was a
Be
lesbian.
sure.
I know.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. And I was like, that's fine too. Like, if people would assume or say like that I'm a lesbian because I was married to a woman for many, many years.
Yeah.
And then I started embracing the idea of being a lesbian more recently too, because of it has kind of a more of even like a activist political component to it, right? Like the history of lesbians. Lesbians are just awesome people, honestly.
Yes.
Like get things done, very successful, as well as standing up for what's right and taking care of people. The lesbians that took care of, the gay men during the AIDS epidemic and like made things happen,
Yes. I saw a documentary on that, on how lesbians in the San Francisco area, especially, were literally like taking care of all of these gay men who were just is so ill. And they speak to that and say how these women just like took care of them completely. And that is just,
and it's interesting because I know I'm like younger, but that still impacted my life because I was growing up. I was a kid at this church in Atlanta with a large gay population.
Right.
And so,
so maybe you saw that, huh?
I saw a lot of my youth teachers, my mom's friends. I remember going to a hospital, and seeing some of these guys, and the lesions, and so this was all when I was like, 8, 9, 10, or, and I can think a handful of men that I knew that died. And so that's something I don't often, until the little bit of time I lived in LA, I did get involved. I never really thought or processed that much until when we moved there, a friend that was involved in the AIDS life cycle, and we started training for that. And then I realized that because they're kind of like everyone's touched by it, even if you don't realize it. And I was like, oh, I actually do have a pretty direct relationship with that, even though I'm, kind of younger for that time.
That sounds like it was a very impressionable time. And that sounds like it was deeply affecting, of course. How could it not be?
And even though my own spiritual sexuality, felt like a little bit later in life, relatively speaking, um, I also like there were things like in high school studying theater, I wrote a play about a high school reunion, and one of the characters comes back and is trans.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about that. I'm like, I don't even know if like really knew about, like that was
Yeah.
like in the mid 90s. Like how did like where I don't
Where
know.
did I
So
get that?
where did I
Yes.
get that? Right.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
feels like something within me has always really been an advocate for the trans community.
Yes. Yes.
And as that has become over these, past few years so politicized,
Yes. Yes.
and specifically using religion,
Yes.
as
Yes.
a harm and a hurt. And here in
Yes.
Kentucky, I have never met so many people personally that went to conversion therapy
Oh,
and
I
had
know.
until
I
being in this
know
region.
several. It's
Yeah.
incredible. These poor,
Yeah.
I mostly know young men. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
but
Same.
I mean, and oh my God, the stories.
Yeah.
And I mean, how, if Jesus literally was like, love everyone.
Right.
And they were like, okay, that
Yeah.
means,
Yeah.
where'd you get that? Where the
Yeah.
hell did you get? Okay, now I decide that everyone like needs to be like this or that. And obviously, as they say, and I am a huge believer of this, anyone with a big problem about it is has their own stuff in themselves that they haven't worked out with
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe
That's
that
true.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, and sometimes the greatest haters are those with internalized
Yep. It
shame and
always turns
homophobia or
out that
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it always turns out that you find them, they've had a relationship with
Oh,
a
yeah.
trans or a gay person. And it's
Right.
like, why are you tormenting them because you can't make peace with yourself?
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
Yep. And the idea of drag being attacked so much right now when it's like
Yes.
such a creative,
Oh,
expressive art and it's authenticity, but it challenges the status quo and gender
yes.
norms.
Mm,
So people in their life that feel like they have to live this box and aren't free to be who they are get confronted by that amount of self-expression, so feel like they have to shut it down because I can't be that free to be, I have to wear this suit and tie and mask up
yeah.
every day, like masking, not COVID masking. But
Yes.
then how dare you be so free and have
Yeah.
fun wearing heels and a dress because it feels good for you. I can, and so then let's legislate that. That can't
Yes.
happen.
Yeah. It's like the
So
misery loves company people
yeah.
are running things right now. And it
Yeah.
fucking blows.
Yeah.
Really raining on our parades.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so your sacred activism is coming from the honoring the queer community and the LGBT community. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
a lot of
Okay.
it is. Yeah. I mean, there's so many marginalized communities and
Yeah.
people that, I feel for and are being attacked right now. But my personal experience with that has me, be in a close relationship to a lot of other queer folks and family that I see. Religion has been such a place of hurt.
Yeah.
So I would really just like to create a place where people can feel that sense of authenticity and healing and belonging and love and acceptance, and know that they don't have to give up God or any kind of spirituality or spiritual community, even all that comes with a community, not just because anyone can have their own beliefs and practice on your own, but there's something to this ritual of gathering and
Yes.
community and fellowship that all of a sudden it's like in this region in this day and time, whatever, that certain people are being excluded from that
Yeah.
experience. And so it seems like gay people are all, anti-religion or whatnot. And it's like, no, it's just more of they've been pushed out.
Yeah.
And so how can we make sure that we are doing our best to create a space understanding the hurt and the trauma and holding space for that so that, yeah, because there are, and I find many queer people, gay people, LGBT people are deeply spiritually connected.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. My circle is so filled with people from LGBTQ community and all spiritual.
Yeah,
All of
exactly.
them.
Exactly.
All.
Uh-huh.
Literally every one of them
Yeah.
lives their spirituality, lives their healing path, wants to get honest with who they are. I mean, and so that's, to come full circle around that is why
Yeah.
I love New Thought,
Yeah.
because New Thought is dealing with each person individually,
Yep.
So how, if you're melding your sacred activism and
Uh-huh.
being a minister, how does
Uh-huh.
that look for you?
Uh-huh. It's creating opportunities for healing and connection. So using the platform, so to speak, the privilege that I have through the influence I have as being a spiritual leader to create an inclusive space, and not just that, but a welcoming space by we've hosted a fundraiser that was a drag show.
I love it.
We, as part of joining with other leaders in this clergy group, we did at the Pride Festival something called Blessed at Pride Fest, and offered blessings, to people at our booth, and they could kind of do like a choose your own adventure. What word do you use for God or spirit?
I love
What
that.
qualities do you want? Pray. How do you refer to spirit? And it was like this little sheet. So then individually we could speak to where that person's need was, and I really thought that I was like, I don't know, is anyone even gonna, we didn't know how it's gonna go. Like, is anyone gonna come to the booth? And I kind of thought like, yeah, maybe a handful of people. There was like a line.
Oh my God.
People love, and young people.
Yeah.
A
They're
lot of
hungry
young
for it.
people. They are like
They're
in,
hungry for
like
it.
20s, in their 20s, and come in and teens even, and just like with their little, and very vulnerable and authentic and putting, stuff down on that prayer stuff that you're just like, wow. And then people want to share their story, they just show up and are like, this happened to me, or thank you for being here, or that, you hear a lot. And being in spaces, this is another thing that as a part of the clergy group, we talk about being in certain spaces and being seen as affirming clergy. So I have a rainbow stole, and, we'll go to something at the Capitol, to a rally, downtown for marches, and we as clergy go as a group and stand together up front with our various, religious garb, but usually in rainbow. And we had some rainbow stoles made for the group too, so it's like just for people to have that visual, and like hosting this vigil and stuff, just to have a space to come and like light candles and be together and sing songs, and to see that there are affirming clergy and spaces that people can come in these times and be together and share what's on their heart and to heal. So that's what it looks like in some things in my life. And then also, just what I'm reading and what I'm sharing and conversations I'm having and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It sounds like you're showing up to your sacred activism from a place of love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you were to say like what your message, what feels like a part of the message of your own personal ministry, that feels important for you to be expressing and sharing and letting people know, what would that be?
That's a question that I'm always asking myself.
What's it
And
today?
it's one of those things,
Yeah.
it's like you're so close to it, you can't see it sometimes,
Yeah.
So I can answer it in part, but I will also say that what I have experienced in life over the past couple of years has really changed me in ways that I haven't fully integrated.
Mm.
Um, and I'm moving into an extreme gift and opportunity, which is taking a 3-month sabbatical.
Oh, wonderful.
So the core council, the board has granted me this 3 months off to
Mm.
really rest, right?
Mm.
And to heal and process everything, and as well as then get to that space where I can really hear clearly that inner voice, right? And that visioning
Yeah.
for what is my ministry.
I love that.
So something that has been kind of consistent in my life is these, and what used to be my bio was very simple, just always like creative, spiritual activist.
Yes.
So the idea of creativity, self-expression, authenticity, oneness, love, non-judgment, healing,
Yeah, and
all
showing
of
up
that.
in that, not in a passive way, showing up in that of being like, I want to be part of the solution.
Yes, and really living it, living the teaching, living these principles and practices, and being in the moment. Yeah. So moving more, I'm excited to move into this winter, which is a time of really slowing down. I see patterns in my life, and I love
Yes.
seasons because of that.
Yes.
But yeah, to have the opportunity to even not have to still keep things going, and Sundays keep
Right.
coming Sunday after Sunday, and you're just like, gotta do,
Yes.
it's like a whole, production every
Oh,
week
I know.
on
Yeah.
top of,
Yeah.
all the
I've worked
other
at churches. I
stuff.
know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, ah,
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for you to have
yes.
this time. Well, Rainbow, this has been such an amazing, amazing conversation. I have
Yeah.
loved to hear so much about your journey and what you've been involved in and what you're doing, and your activism is so incredible.
Thank you.
And where could people find your work?
On Instagram at Rev Rainbow, and YouTube, where you can find a lot, is on Ahava's YouTube channel, because all the live streams and all my talks are on there for the past 5-6 years now. So that is at Ahava, AHAVACSL. And I have a YouTube channel too. I don't do as much with it, but just my name. If you put in Reverend Rainbow Weldon, whatever
It'll all
pops
show
up,
up.
it will all come up. Yes. Although there is another Reverend Rainbow that is a CSL minister.
Get out.
Yes. And
Hey,
isn't
how
that funny?
fun. You guys
What
should do
other
like a show.
organization would have two? Yes, the two rainbow. And I was like, we need to do something together. The double rainbows. Double rainbow. Yep.
Oh my God, I love it.
What is it? It's a double rainbow.
It's a rainbow show. Who's not going to go to that?
Right? Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the shit show.
And I'm glad that I brought my little shit, my new little kitten, to add to to add to the chaos.
It has been such a joy. And I've learned stuff about you. I've known you for a long, long time. I learned so much stuff about you that I didn't know. And that's why I love doing these podcasts.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And what an incredible journey you've had, and listening and always keeping your eyes and ears open to the message that Spirit is talking to you is just such a beautiful thing to hear about and see.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that. Yay.
Well, that is a wrap of this fantastic 3-parter with the fabulous Rainbow Weldon. Thank you ever so much to Rainbow for sharing her amazing story and journey with us, and for showing up to be a space for queer spirituality, community, love, and total joy. And it was a total joy to chat with Rainbow, I'll tell you that much. If you want to connect more with Rainbow, you can find her anywhere at Rev Rainbow Weldon, as well as her online community, the Queer Spirit Collective. A place for joy, a place for spirituality, a place for celebration and connection. Sounds good to me. Anyways, as always, this has been the Spiritual Shitshow podcast. My name is Suzanne Sole. Thank you ever so motherfucking much for listening, and I will see your gorgeous ass on the next one. Roll it, you wonderful being, you.